Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and you heard me say it before. I've got a spectacular show for you today. Today, this is the third session, fourth? No, it's the third session in the F&I series, the credit counseling interview, the consumer credit counseling interview. In 1987 was the first time I spoke at an ADA conference. And that year, I got the highest grades received by any speaker at that conference. And I'd like to think it's because I'm so brilliant, and maybe that's true. But the truth of the matter is, the reason I got those grades is because I was speaking about a subject that no one had ever spoken before at an ADA convention. I talked about how to work creatively with the lenders to get more deals approved. And I talked about how to interview the customers to put challenge credit deals together. Now remember, this 1987, long before special finance. So today, let's get to it. I've got my studio audience and I've got my in-studio audience, beginning with my friend, Melissa Skinner. Hello,
Hi.
Melissa.
Hi.
You're in Wisconsin today.
I am, yep. I'm doing an event sale this week, so I'm out here kicking butt. Took time out to come and hang with y'all.
One of my good friends in the business, Melissa Skinner. Talking about good friends, Jennifer Briggs. Hi, kid.
Hey.
You ready to rock?
I'm ready to rock, and I'm actually in not traveling, so I'm excited to be with you in studio today.
So you're in studio and you're not traveling. And have you gotten good benefit out of this seminar?
We have gotten such awesome benefits because I come to the class and then I'm running back on Monday to the teams. Okay, we got to do this and this and this. So you can have a
So you've had some success with the word tracks and the things we're teaching?
Absolutely, we have, and I can't wait to get more and more on the Alpha Dog on Demand. Going to plan on putting kind of a calendar together for my team to get in there and watch it.
That's the Tom Wood group?
Yep.
Fantastic. Who have we got here? Who is that?
Hey, how's it going, man? Mike Daniels from Huntington Ford, New York. How are you?
New York. That accent, I would have thought Alabama. Hey, have you gotten good value out of this thing?
100%, man. Yeah, and like we touched on last week, I'm so new to all of this, but I love being here, and I think I think being here, I'm getting like the pro advice to start and get in, So I love it.
Fantastic. You're gonna love this session. Okay, we got another dear friend of mine. I hope he got his microphone working. Larry Little. Larry is in West Memphis Ford, right? General manager, West Memphis Ford, been a friend of mine for a long time. He's got laryngitis today. Anyway, the consumer credit counseling interview. When I was actively doing finance, I was with a team of some of the best finance managers in the universe. Dyer & Dyer Volvo. We were the first dealership in the world to do $1 million in 1 month in F&I. I had just broken the record of $1,000 a retail unit, which nobody had ever broken through that barrier. I set that record, and we were rocking and rolling. And when I went to Dyer & Dyer Volvo, my strength on that team, and this was a team of extremely talented people, my strength was basically getting more deals approved. Now, remember, this is before special finance, and these skills are still valid today and are still very necessary today. When you consider that 40 or 50% of your customers have some credit challenges, to get those deals approved, you can't go strictly by their credit score. There are extenuating circumstances. There are things we can pick up a phone and call a credit supervisor and get a decision reversed. So think about it from my viewpoint. I don't believe that we need, truthfully, to be talking deals with a customer until we've looked at their credit. Now, when you've got a pretty high credit score, like a 780 or an 800 or whatever, that's a pretty automatic deal. I'm not going to do a credit interview with a high credit score. But if I've got a low credit score, one thing I'm going to do is I want to stop the deal right now. One thing I see in dealerships all over the country is we continue to negotiate. If you are a negotiating dealership, we continue to negotiate with people after we've already identified they've got poor credit. What are you thinking? They got bad credit. Stop the deal. Bring the finance manager out to the floor and do a consumer credit counseling interview. And there are several reasons why we do this. Number one is to get information to reverse a decision we know we're going to get. You could pretty well look at a credit bureau or look at a credit score and know you're going to have some argument getting this deal approved. And see, what's happened lately is the weaker finance is just throw the deal into Route 1, throw it into Dealer Track, and let's see what they do, and then move on to the next customer. Jim, I'm looking for ways to put deals together, more deals. And that was always my strength. I set records in the car business in F&I, not because I was great in the box, which I was pretty good, but I might not have even been the very best in the box, but I was the best at getting the hard to get deals put together. Getting deals put together is a more profitable skill with least conditions, with the lenders not conditioning you. That is a better, more profitable skill than selling things in finance. Now, if you remember last week, I said I was a record-setting F&I manager, but I was not a home run hitter. I was hitting in the 2000s per contract on a good month, $2,200, $2,300 a contract. And I was hitting $1,400 a retail unit. Those numbers, of course, have been blown away many years since. I did all that with 60-month financing and, $15,000 cars. So that being said, what you can deduce from that, if you're a mathematician, is I didn't knock somebody out of the ballpark with $8,000 and $9,000 deals. I sold something to everybody, which is the best F&I in the world. It's going to reduce your chargebacks. It's going to have because I've always been customer friendly. Even in the hard-hitting rock and roll days of assumptive sale, I still was customer friendly. Nobody left my office feeling that they were taken. They always felt good about it. They were always disclosed. They always knew what they bought. So you don't need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, or misrepresent to sell finance. 35 years in this end of the business, 47 years in the industry. I can tell you right now, you don't need to do that. But the consumer credit counseling interview, number one, to get information. But number two, to take the attitude off the customers. Now, I'm going to get a little pushback on this. The pushback I'm going to get is we got customers that have attitudes. We used to call these people derogatory names: bogues, drecks, credit criminals, get me done, bandits. I was in Australia. I was the keynote speaker for the Australian Dealers Convention in Brisbane, Australia. I'm standing on stage and I'm talking about bogues. And one of the Australian guys said, excuse me, he said, what's a bogue? I said, well, a bogue is somebody with bad credit. A bogue? A bogue. What's a bogue? And somebody in the back of the room said, he's talking about a bumpy. Even Australians have slang words for bogues.
That's great.
A bumpy, I'm laughing. We don't call people bogues, and it was always humorous. It was never it was always tongue in cheek, but now today it's credit challenged, equity impaired. We've become socially conscious. Credit challenged, equity impaired. Now, Larry Little, just shake your head. Do you have any credit challenged, equity impaired people in West Memphis? Absolutely. How about Huntington, New York? You have any credit challenged individuals?
Absolutely.
Well, one thing I'm going to tell you about people with credit challenges is they know who they are. I have to educate salespeople all the time. They know they have bad credit. I don't want to fight. Don't worry about it. They know. They've seen tow trucks skulking around their driveways. They've gotten phone calls from strangers. They know who they are. They've gotten they get mail from people about it. They know who they are. So you have to understand, they just get pissed off that you found out. So people would, and there's a whole culture of people with challenge credit. We always make jokes about it. It's humorous because some of the stunts they do, some of the things they try, I mean, it's hilarious. There are a ton of old school, new school jokes about people with credit challenges trying to game the system. That is absolutely a truism. Trying to game the system, trying to game the computer. I mean, when Lending Tree first came on, everybody in F&I was scared to death. Lending Tree is going to steal F&I. But it didn't happen.
Yeah.
The good credit people still financed with the dealership. But the bad credit people were trying to trick Lending Tree and all these other online lenders and trying to game the system. And that I've heard every excuse. I've heard everything they say. Well, that was my cousin's credit. They got my cousin's credit mixed up with mine. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. So people with challenge credit, you have to take the attitude off of them. Now, I'm not saying we're going to humiliate anybody. You don't want to humiliate people or embarrass them. These people are customers, and they will be treated with dignity and respect. But I still have to take the attitude away because we got what we call BWAs. BWA, write that down. Bogues with attitudes.
I'm really writing it down too.
Did you write it down? BWA?
Well, I wanted to until I started cracking up at you.
Yeah, we got BWAs. Yes, we do. And you got to take that attitude off of them. Look, I'm trying to help you. And I sincerely am. So the consumer credit counseling interview. Once you get in front of the consumer, I'm looking for more information. Remember the 4 C's of credit. The 4 C's of credit are basically capacity, the ability to repay the loan, and capacity is broken down into 2 parts, income versus debt load. And remember, debt load is the number one reason deals are rejected. People owe more of their income percentage-wise than the bank is comfortable with or the lender's comfortable with. So capacity, people would think it was bad credit, but it's actually capacity. So I'm going to show you some tricks and some things to look for. We can actually improve the customer's credit in the credit interview. And I'm not talking about the Experian boost. I'm talking about real improvement to their credit score within 24 hours. That's possible. Not always possible, but I'll teach you how to recognize it when it is possible. So the consumer credit counseling interview, capacity, and the next one is credit history, of course. I mean, bad debts, write-offs, repossessions, tax liens, late payments, bankruptcies. We all know what bad credit is. And one skill you have to have is knowing how to read a credit bureau. And if you don't know, and Jennifer, this might interest you, if you don't know how to read a credit bureau, the credit bureau will send a representative to your dealership and give you a free class on how to read the credit bureau for your employees. Yeah, so just remember that. You can ask the credit bureau, since you are a member, a subscriber, to come in your dealership and give you they usually bring donuts and coffee and stuff. I mean, you can get that done. Excuse my congestion. But yeah, you can get that done. And so the capacity, credit history, and the third one is going to be collateral. That's the third C of credit. And collateral is broken down into two parts: equity versus real cash. Now remember, real cash is the highest scoring item on any bank or lender's scoring system. Cash in deal, that's not rebate, it's not equity in the trade, but real cash can turn a level 2 callback into a level 0 and improve the customer's interest rate and put more profit into the deal. So cash in deal, real cash, is probably the biggest thing you can do to improve any customer situation. And I can't tell you how many salespeople do not realize the value of getting cash down payment in that deal. And a lot of sales managers don't understand cash down payment moves tier levels. You get a level 2 or level 3 callback, it can make a level 1 or a level 0 out of it if you got maybe even $2,500 down from the customer. So cash down improves tier levels with every bank, regardless of credit score. So that's going to be one thing I'm looking for in the credit interview. And the last one is character. Now, character is the intangible. It's the ethereal. Does the customer have some situation? Is it a good person that has some bad things happen to them? That's the story you have to build. You have to build a why buy here story for the lender. Why you would buy this customer. And I can recall when I was at Banner Ford in Decatur, Georgia, a long time ago in a galaxy far away. I was at Banner Ford, and they weren't buying any bankruptcies whatsoever at Ford Credit. And I had a customer that had a daughter that had died of leukemia, and their insurance had maxed out, and they were advised by their attorney to go bankrupt. These were previously had good credit, but now they had a bad credit situation. They were good people that had a bad event happen in their life and here's the key words, that was not likely to happen again. So the first thing I did is I got them to get me insurance documents, hospital documents. Documents prove character. Even if you have to send a salesperson to a consumer's home to get the documents, if they have a documentable story, no matter what negatives are in the past with these people, I can turn a bad credit situation around. Good people that have some bad breaks that are not likely to reoccur. There's the situation I'm looking for. Good people had some bad situations, not likely to happen again. And I'm looking for documents to prove the story that I'm telling, to prove character. Now, a lot of F&I managers use the wrong argument, and I hate it when a sales manager gets on the phone with a customer and doesn't know with the bank, and doesn't know a damn thing about how to get a deal bought. Anytime you have a turn down because of capacity, the debt load is too high, they owe too much money, I have to eliminate some debt on their credit bureau. I have to get them to pay something off or find something that's been paid off that is still showing in their bureau. And we're going to audit their bureau. I always audit their bureau with them, line by line. Is this open? Is this how much you owe on it? Is this open? Is this how much you owe on it? And you're going to find out there's a couple accounts they paid off that are still affecting their credit score. And I can get that out of there in short order. What do you think about that? Oh, I can't talk to Larry. Melissa, what do you think about that?
I think that's phenomenal because not enough people ask. The sales managers don't teach that to their salespeople. So you don't have the salespeople asking. You don't always have the sales managers asking. So that's phenomenal.
How would that fly in Huntington?
Well, I think sometimes and like I said, I am pretty new to it, but I know sometimes when you run a bureau, you don't get the most accurate information. Sometimes it's months off or whatever. But if you could find out if somebody has paid something off, get the documents together, and you may create more opportunities for yourself by just proving that.
What if I told you I could change their credit score within 12 hours?
That too.
I mean, 25, 50 points. I've never changed one 100 points, but there are certain times when you can change a customer's credit bureau within 12 hours using the Equal Credit Opportunity Act.
Huge.
And I'm going to tell you how to do that. That's coming up. You want to stick around and have me tell you how to do that? Is that something you want to hear about?
Definitely.
Okay. I didn't know if that's something you wanted to hear. Okay. Consumer, and this is all in my book, the F&I Mastermind, which is on sale at Ziegler Finance. What is it? ZieglerFinance.com? ZieglerFinanceBook.com. I forget. I'll get it in a minute. But anyway, the consumer credit counseling interview is going to talk about how to change bureaus. It's possible. So character argument is a big deal, huge deal. Let's take a look a second. I'm going to put this on the screen. Okay, the consumer credit counseling interview. Let's scroll down a second. Oh, they know who they are. I think I said that earlier. Okay, here it is. When I walk out to the sales floor, I'm going to say, Mr. and Miss Customer, my name is Jim Ziegler. I'm the finance director here at Great Dealer, and they tell me you're buying a new or newer car today. They tell me. Now, if you recall, I never represent myself to be part of the sales force. I'm a banker. I'm somebody else. I don't say that I'm a banker, but you got to remember, bankers don't wear polo shirts. I'm in a suit. Everybody else in the dealership wearing polo shirts, I'm wearing a suit and tie. If I'm a woman, I would be business dressed. So anyway, they tell me you're buying a newer car. Congratulations. I just want to stop by and introduce myself. I'm going to be handling your titling, your registration. And there's one thing I need to know is if you are planning to pay cash, or you're going to finance with your own bank or credit union, or are you guys planning on using my finance resources here at the dealership? Now, did everybody get what I was saying there? Okay. Got it, Jennifer. Okay, hang on one second. I've lost my mouse. Oh, there you go. Okay, we're all back. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, my name is Jim Ziegler. I'm finance director here at Great Dealer, and I just dropped by to see how you intend to finance this car. Are you going to pay cash? You're going to finance with your own bank, or you're going to use my resources? And the customer says, oh, we're financing with you. Fantastic. I am so pleased to have your business. Now, I've got your credit bureau report here, and there's a couple questions I need to ask you about your credit before I make a decision on the approval of your loan. Did everybody hear what I just said? I have your credit bureau report right here. Now, they've already signed a document that says I can pull their credit. And I have pulled a paper credit bureau. These people have distressed credit. We identified it early. I've got a paper credit bureau. This is not digital retail. This is face-to-face. So, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I've got your credit bureau report right here. I'm glad to have your business. And there's a couple of questions I need to ask you before I make a decision on the approval of your loan. Now, everybody needs to hear what I just said. Before I make a decision on the approval of your loan, one of the biggest mistakes I have seen is we say, well, we're going to turn it in and see if Ford Motor Company Credit would approve it. See if FCA will approve it. We're going to see if Wells Fargo will approve it. No, I approve it. Once I say those words, I approve the loan, their entire demeanor changes. You talk about an attitude adjustment. I approve the loan. Now, let me ask you a question. Jennifer Briggs, you're pretty knowledgeable, one of the smartest women in the industry. Well, it's one of the smartest persons, actually. Let me ask you, is that a true statement? Do I approve the loan?
Well, I mean,
do I approve the loan?
I'm thinking, because I know that ultimately you're going to be selecting where it goes, but the actual loan, unless you've got the in-house, is through the lender. So
what if I told you legally I approve the loan?
Well, how does that work, Jim?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay. Under the holder in due course law, the holder in due course law says that any holder of this consumer credit contract is subject to all claims and defenses that the debtor could assert against the seller of the goods and merchandise obtained pursuant hereto with the proceeds hereof. Now, do you understand it?
No. I even leaned in so I could hear it.
Okay. The holder in due course law says that the dealer is the lender.
Okay.
Matter of fact, every contract you see, you pull up any bank's contract, pull up your generic contract for any contracting with the law contract, any contract. It says seller/lender.
Because of our indirect lending agreements.
Well, we are the lender.
Okay.
The bank does not buy a contract from us. They buy an existing loan that you have already executed. People don't realize that. We make the loan. And because we make the loan and we sell it to a lender at less than face value at a discount rate. Everybody hear what I just said?
Uh-huh.
We sell it to a lender at a discount rate. A lender buys an existing loan. They do not buy a contract. That loan, matter of fact, if you don't have a proper rescission agreement and the bank turns it down, they can make payments monthly at your cashier's window in the service department.
You see, that makes perfect sense for when we've had to buy here, pay here lots for groups that I worked for before, but I never would have thought about that in one of my A franchise stores.
Of course, any retail installment contract, we are the lender. And I'm going to advise finance managers watching this video, don't approve deals that you can't sell to banks. Or at least have a document that says if the bank doesn't approve it, you can get it back. So when I now watch my word tracking here. Now that you understand that we are the lender, the holder in due course law says any holder of this consumer credit contract is subject to all claims and defenses which the buyer could assert against the seller of the goods and merchandise obtained pursuant hereto or the proceeds hereof. That is on the back of every contract we do. It is only on the back of a contract where the seller also does the financing. So understand that. I'm going to tell you more about the holder in due course provision later on, and I hope everybody was impressed that I knew it by heart. Anyway, moving right along, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, there's a couple questions I'd like to ask you about your credit before I make a decision on the approval of your loan. Now, by the way, I want to tell you in advance, I'm approving your loan. I approve 100% of them. But however, I do have to review my approval with my associates at Ford Credit. I do have to review my approval with my associates at Wells Fargo. And frankly, I'm not the final decision maker. They can still turn me down, even though I'm choosing to approve the loan. And there's some things in your credit I know they're going to ask me about. Do I have your permission to discuss your credit with you? Did everybody hear the way I transitioned into the credit interview?
Yeah.
See, I have just established myself as the only place in town where you are approved. Don't go shopping me. I'm the only place. I'm approving your loan. That nice Mr. Ziegler is approving your loan, but he's still got to get it past his associates at Wells Fargo, who could turn it down. So now we're getting into this help me help you. And you'd be amazed at the attitude change I get with customers. We talk about take the attitude off. There's a couple questions I need to ask you about your credit before I make a decision on the approval of your loan. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I'm approving your loan. Don't you know when I say I'm approving your loan, they're doing a little happy dance? I mean, they're just having da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and all of a sudden, but however, my associates, and I always refer to the bank as my associates, whatever lender I'm using, my associates at Cap One, in your case, my associates at Santander, whatever, my associates could still overrule me and turn this loan down. I'm not the final decision maker, and there's some things here I know they're going to ask me about. Do I have your permission to discuss your credit with you? And I have to ask the husband, the wife, the partners, whoever is sitting in front of me. I have to get permission from everybody that I'm interviewing. Husband, wife, partner, whatever. Do I have your permission to discuss your credit with you? Do I have your permission? And they might say, well, can I see my credit bureau? No, I'm not privileged to show it to you, but I can help you get your own copy. Now, by the way, I have shown thousands of people their credit bureaus through the years, but I'd rather not show it to them because let them get their own copy. I'm not a credit reporting agency. You follow what I'm saying? I am not here to report your credit. Now, Mrs. Jenkins, did you ever have an account with Friendly Finance? Now, first of all, I phrase that as a question. I don't tell them anything about their credit bureau. Did you ever have an account? Did they know they had an account with Melissa? Do you believe they know they had an account with Friendly Finance they defaulted on?
Oh, yeah.
They know they had an account they defaulted on. Okay.
Absolutely.
Ms. Jenkins, did you ever have an account with Friendly Finance? What happened there? And I'm going to write down their story. John, you ever have an account with Chrysler Financial back in the day? Well, yeah, I gave that car back. Yeah, I understand. Did you ever have an account? First of all, I'm letting them know that I know because everybody's curious about what's in their bureau. Miss Jenkins, did you? Who is Dr. John Grimaldi? Now, well, he was my female doctor. He was my doctor. Yeah. When was the last time you saw him? About a year ago. Was that in court? She knows he sued her. So I want to. First of all, I'm going to get across to him. You're not going to put anything over on me. Do you have an account with Dixie Jewelers? And now they say, well, we paid that off. Wait a minute. You don't owe money to Dixie Jewelers. No, we paid off Dixie Jewelers. So I'm looking in their bureau and I see an account for Dixie Jewelers, $3,500 balance. That is called a dangling balance. And most people have some dangling balances still in their credit bureau, and believe it or not, that recomputes their credit score. Do you have an account with Dixie Jewelers? Well, no, we paid that off. Well, $3,500 is substantial. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins, I want you to call Dixie Jewelers. And I want you to tell them that it's been brought to your attention that they've left a $3,500 balance in your credit bureau. And you would like them to change that in the next 30 minutes. Well, we can't do that till the end of the month. No, you can do it immediately. One thing you have to remember about credit bureau input, it's a computer input. Anybody in that company with a computer code can whoever put the bad credit in can take the bad credit out. Always remember that. Whoever put it in can take it out. I have actually negotiated bad credit out of people's bureaus. Now, this is all legal and legitimate. This isn't that credit repair bogus stuff you hear about. This is legitimate. You know, they left a balance in the bureau. The minute they take it out at the speed of electricity, their credit bureau score will change. As soon as they take out that $3,500 balance and restore it to an I-1, R1, that will immediately go away. The bureau will go up 10, 20 points, whatever proportion it is to their debt load. Their credit score will change. So I'll tell you who is the worst in the world about leaving major dangling balances in computers is college loans.
Yep.
And you can call the college and have a $10,000 loan liquidated immediately back to an I-1. And all of a sudden the customer's bureau will go up tremendously. So I'm looking for dangling balances in their credit score that are affecting your credit score in their credit bureau. So I audit their credit bureau with them. Is this account still open? Is this account still open? Do you owe this? Go audit their bureau with them. Now, this takes time. Yes, it does. And if you're a rock and roll dealership, you got to have somebody that has time to do this. But this really pays off well. So I'm looking for the dangling balances. Now, the next thing I'm looking for is credit that they have that is not in the bureau. You ever see a sign on a telephone pole? Larry, just shake your head. You ever see a sign, repair bad credit? They don't have those in Huntington, do they? Repair bad credit?
I'm sure they do. Some stuff like that.
Well, see, that is using the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. There's two laws that affect this, but the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. Remember those initials, and that's going to be important. FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act. So the Fair Credit Reporting Act says that a consumer has the right to have any bad credit in their credit bureau investigated and taken out if they can prove that it's not valid. Well, that's what all these credit repair companies try to do. They try to harass the lender because when they do that, let's say Ford Credit had a repo in somebody's bureau from 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Bad credit or good credit will stay in a customer's bureau for 7 years. Court actions stay for 10 years, like a bankruptcy or a tax lien. So court actions stay for 10 years. All other credit, good or bad, drops off every 7 years. You follow what I'm saying? So every 7 years, the credit fades away and is no longer reported. But I can still get a lifetime credit bureau on somebody, but I don't want to get into how to do that right now, but I can do that. So anyway, and you have no need to do that. That would be if they were buying a $500,000 motorhome. I can get a lifetime credit bureau on somebody. So anyway, here we are. The credit, so I don't want to harass the lender. So Ford Credit had a repo. And the customer says, that's not my repo. So they write a letter to the credit bureau. I'm contesting that under the Fair Credit Reporting Act. Then the credit bureau's got to write a letter to Ford. Ford's got to verify that they had the repossession, and within 30 days, write back to the credit bureau. And what happens is the lenders don't always have records of it readily accessible. They've stored it on a storage file somewhere. They don't respond. And if they don't respond in 30 days, it comes out of their bureau. That's how a lot of these credit repair agencies work. They harass the lenders on records that they might not still have readily at hand. So I don't use that I don't like that because it probably was their bad credit. But there's another part of the Fair Credit Reporting Act that I saw when I was reading it, that a consumer has the right to have good credit supplied by them that can be proven put into their bureau. I said, whoa, they can have their good credit put into the credit bureau. And if their debt load is not excessive, that will improve their credit score. So, Larry Little, shake your head. I know you haven't got audio. Larry, in West Memphis, Arkansas, where you live, do you have any buy here, pay here dealers? People make weekly payments on their cars. Everybody has those. I mean, buy here, pay here, So are buy here, pay here dealers reporting to the credit bureau for the most part? Yes, no? No. But wait a second. A buy here, pay here loaner. Oh, Larry says he's got his own buy here, pay here. Now, a buy here, pay here loan is an installment loan. And I asked the consumer, where is that car that you got on the buy here? Oh, it's outside. Okay, then it's paid as agreed. If it wasn't paid as agreed, it wouldn't even be here. Yeah, they would have towed it already. Okay, so, I've had buy here, pay here loans myself. I understand. So the point is, I can have that put into the credit bureau within 12 hours. So where did you get your car? That's one of the questions I want to ask. Where did you get your car? Well, we bought it from Bendover Motors. And believe it or not, there was a dealership one time called Bendover Motors. They had a picture of a guy on the sign, and it was Ben Dover. It was a buy here, pay here lot. I thought that was hilarious.
That is hilarious.
They had a picture of a guy that was supposed to be Mr. Dover on the sign, Bendover Motors. Anyway, buy here, pay here. So every one of the credit bureaus, there's 3 credit bureaus, Experian. Okay. Now, Larry Little says they report to the credit bureau so they can sell the customer. So, Larry, shake your head. Your buy here, pay here lot at your dealership reports to the credit bureau as an installment loan. Well, by the way, any buy here, pay here lot is a subscriber to the credit bureau. And as a subscriber to the credit bureau, I can make them report that credit to the credit bureau within 12 hours. And be careful now, because if your customer's debt load's too high, you're just going to add more debt load to it. But if my customer has reasonable income versus what they're paying out, I want that installment loan. So you go to the credit bureau's website, Experian's Credit, TRW. You're looking for Equifax. What's the other one? TransUnion. Yeah, look for TransUnion, Equifax, TRW, Experian. Okay, go to all 3 of those websites and you will see FCRA complaints. There is a place where they can submit a Fair Credit Reporting Act complaint on every credit bureau's website, and they make it difficult to find. I mean, so you as an F&I manager have to root around to find out where that is. I mean, they don't make it easy to find because the credit bureaus think it's a nuisance, but they have to do it. So you get on the credit bureau's website, and the customer's got to do this. You can't do it in their behalf. But they say, dear credit bureau, it's come to our attention that our good credit account with Bend Over Motors has not reported to the credit bureau. Now, I can actually go to the credit bureau and actually pull the credit bureau member number right next to their inquiry. I can have the customer put that in the FCRA complaint. It's our petition, we call it. It's not a complaint. The FCRA petition that we would like to have this investigated and put into our immediate our credit bureau immediately, and always use the words credit decision pending, please expedite. Credit decision pending, please expedite. So I have the customers go on the credit bureau's website, look for the FCRA petitions, Fair Credit Reporting Act petitions, where you can send a petition to the credit bureau to have their credit investigated, and we would like this good credit added to our credit bureau. And within 12 hours, generally, it'll be in the customer's credit bureau. So bear in mind, I've done that with jewelry stores, furniture stores, and buy here, pay here lots. Does anybody have Badcock Home Furnishings in your market? Used to be Helig Meyer. Remember Helig Meyer Furnitures? That was another one. Okay, there are every community, and you probably live in a nice neighborhood, but there are some neighborhoods that are not as fortunate as we are, where credit challenged people may live, and those neighborhoods have buy here, pay here furniture stores. Some of them are even national franchises. And buy here, pay here furniture stores, I can have that put in. Where'd you get your furniture? That's one of the questions I ask. Well, I've got it from the rent to own place. Okay, I got to ask you a very serious question, Mr. Customer. Did you rent it till you owned it? If you rented it till you owned it, I can have that put in your credit bureau as an installment. You following? Is this helping you guys?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is some good stuff, guys. I mean, this is stuff that I've developed through the years that nobody else teaches, but it's the real deal. The Consumer Credit Counseling Interview. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. Would you like to hear a story, Melissa?
I would. I love your stories.
Very shake your head. You want to hear a story? Okay, everybody wants to hear a story. Okay. Relax Honda. Tonawanda, New York, I believe it was. It was just the outskirts of Buffalo. I think it was Tonawanda. Relax Honda. I was working there, and this is in the 90s. And the F&I manager's name was Joe Fambo. And the salesperson, the alleged salesperson, comes running in the F&I office, and the alleged salesperson says, Mr. Ziegler, I need a stripped out rate. You need a what? I need a stripped out payment. Why? Well, this guy just bought a Honda LX Accord, and he's a businessman. Okay. Well, why do you need a stripped out payment? Well, he's been here 4 hours, and he's getting real impatient. He needs a stripped out payment. Well, why? Well, he's a businessman. Okay. Does anybody pull the credit bureau on this guy? Well, no. When salesmen are born, God implants in them a credit bureau machine. People don't realize that. Has anybody pulled a credit bureau on this guy? And the salesman looked at me. He's good. Oh, good. Gold-plated gold balls. He's good. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. Okay. Has anybody pulled a credit bureau on this guy? No, he's good. Okay, but you better get me a 5-line credit application. Mr. Ziegler, you're going to blow this guy out. No, you're going to blow him out if you don't hurry and get me a 5-line credit app. Mr. Ziegler, he's getting really irritable. Well, you better get me a 5-line credit app. So the salesperson comes back with a 5-line credit. He's getting pissed off now, Mr. Ziegler. Okay, calm him down. I'm going to pull a bureau on him. Now, they had a credit bureau machine with thermal paper, a roll of thermal paper. Do you remember that, Larry? Thermal paper. I mean, there was a whole roll of paper in the credit bureau machine. It was a dedicated credit bureau machine. So I pulled the guy's credit bureau and smoke poured out the air vents. I mean, I'm pulling this credit, and this guy, so I pulled the credit bureau twice. It's already 2 feet long. Now it's 4 feet long. So I got a 4-foot long credit bureau on this roll. So I said, bring him in. And the salesman said, Mr. Ziegler, you're going to piss this guy off. Bring him in. So he comes in, and the customer, he's a businessman. This guy, a little yuppie snot, got a little shorts on, his boat shoes, no socks, got his sunglasses on top of his head. I want to slap his wife, just unbelievable, strutting around my office. How long is this going to take? Getting some of that action. Well, sir, my name is Jim Ziegler. I'm a financial consultant from Atlanta, Georgia, and this is my associate, Mr. Joe Fambo. He works here at Relax, and please sit down. I've got your credit bureau report right here, and there's a couple questions we need to ask you about your credit before we make a decision on the approval of your loan. And you could sort of see the air go out of this guy. Strutting around my office, beating on his watch. How long is this going to take? Now, all of a sudden, he sits down. I said, well, first of all, I need to ask you a couple questions about your credit before I make a decision on the approval of your loan. But I want to tell you in advance, I'm approving your loan. And he looked at his wife when I said that. I said, I'm approving your loan. He looked at his wife. She looked at him. And then he looked up and saw me eye to eye. At that moment, he knew that I knew that he knew that I knew. He knew I knew. So I said, well, before I start talking about this, let me take a yellow highlighter and highlight some of the derogatories, because I know my associates at Gold Dome Bank are going to ask me. I'm not the final approval. I'm approving your loan, but I'm not the final decision maker. They could still turn it down. This was Gold Dome Bank. So I start feeding this 4-foot long credit bureau off the desk between them. And I start marking bad things on their credit. And I turned to Fambo, who's sitting slightly behind me. And I whispered, Melissa, would you like to hear me whisper?
I would.
I whispered to Mr. Fambo, this isn't good. This isn't good. And the little yuppie guy stands up and says, Mr. Ziegler, we can explain. A minute ago, he was beating the salesperson to death. He got a $20,000 something Honda LX Accord, rare merchandise that they were selling for full sticker. He got it for like $250 over cost, and now he's wanting to beat us up. And they gave the unit away, and now we can explain. I said, well, that might be in order. He said, well, Mr. Ziegler, we bought a warehouse here in Buffalo. We bought a warehouse right on the canal, 100-year-old warehouse, and we started reconditioning it as rebuilding it as a restaurant. And as soon as we started rebuilding it, the State Historical Society put an injunction on us and made us stop altering this historic building. And in the meantime, I had flown a chef over from Italy. And I've got a chef staying in a hotel on my American Express card. We got behind on all of our bills, and we were meant to be open in October. We didn't get open till May. And, we really struggled. But right now we're a 5-star restaurant. We're one of the best known restaurants in Buffalo. It's really great. I said, well, can you bring me some documents to document what you just told me? I'm going to need some documents showing that the lawsuit from the State Historical Society. I'm going to need some documents showing that your restaurant's successful right now. I'm going to need documents that coincide with the time frame from October to May that you had the bad credit, because the story you're telling me, the times line up. And I think I can talk my peers at Gold Dome into approving this loan. Well, Mr. Ziegler, we can't bring you the documents tonight. We can't bring the documents tonight. They're at the restaurant. I said, I need them. Fambo, do you know where this restaurant is? And Fambo said, Jim, sure, it's one of those famous restaurants in Buffalo. I said, I'll tell you what if me and Mr. Fambo come by after work and get the documents? Will you have them for us? Oh, yes, we can do that. The chef set the dessert on fire at the table. It was their best meal, their best wine, free. We actually gave them a courtesy delivery and signed up on the restaurant, the bar at the restaurant. We signed all the papers. They gave me all the documents, and we got the best CSI report. And I told him, I said, can I tell my peers at Gold Dome that you'll be purchasing a parts and labor agreement to protect this investment should they choose to approve the loan? Is that required? No, it's not required. It's completely optional, but I strongly suggest you take it. Oh, yeah, we'll take that. Anything else we need? Well, you might want to consider the environmental protection package. Oh, yeah, we'll take that. I mean, it was like they took everything I sold with no hammering whatsoever. I suggest you take that. Yeah, that's good. You'll take that. And they gave us the best CSI report. They gave us the best meal at their restaurant. They trashed the sales department on the CSI. They had 250 over cost. We made a home run legitimately selling the contract. And the kicker is, I probably could have spot delivered that without the interview. They weren't that bad. It was more about taking the attitude off of him. So a couple years later, I was doing a finance seminar in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And by the way, Joe Fambo passed away. He was a good friend of mine. And I was doing a finance seminar in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And George Obrocta was in the audience. And George Obrocta is a finance manager that took over after Fambo left. And George Obrocta was in my audience doing a seminar in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And Obrocta walks up to the front of the stage when I'm on the podium and hands me a cell phone, says, talk to this guy. I said, what? I said, Jim Ziegler. Jim, this is Joe Fambo. Hey, Joe, how you doing? He said, Jim, do you remember the deal? I said, remember it? Shit, I teach it every seminar. Of course I teach that deal. That was the perfect credit interview. The little guy with the boat shoes and the sunglasses on top of his head. Of course, I tell that story every time because it was all about his negative attitude, beating everybody up, abusing. That was the most abusive customer before the interview. I mean, he was totally abusive to everybody in the dealership. Once I got that credit interview done, and we talked about his credit, and I got the story. If we needed a story with Gold Dome, I had a story. I knew about the lawsuit. I knew about the State Historical Society, everything. Well, that is my consumer credit counseling interview. When I want to talk to a credit supervisor, this is how I load my own lips to be able to talk to the credit supervisor if I'm going to do a rehash on a deal. And so many F&I managers today don't do that. Was this a worthwhile session for you guys today? We've been on for an hour. Was it worthwhile?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jinx.
Did some good stuff?
Yeah.
Yep.
Larry has us going to play in West Memphis. Yes? No?
I think my mic might be working now.
It is.
Hey,
Hey,
has a
look at
voice.
that.
It's a miracle. Heal.
It only took me an hour.
So,
I
Larry,
told
what'd you
Jim
get out of
last
this?
week I'm a car salesman, so that's always an excuse.
How was this seminar for you today? How'd this go for you?
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely great. I mean, the things that you're talking about really are lost art, of being able to look at a bureau and find a car deal, for lack of a better term.
Now, you haven't really done F&I yet. Is your dealership doing this in Huntington?
Oh yeah, definitely.
They're doing the credit interviews and
Yeah, they're doing credit interviews.
okay, yeah, oh, that's right. I know your manager out there. Never mind. Forget it. Melissa, what'd you get out of this? Is Melissa frozen on us?
I think she might be frozen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're frozen, but what'd you get out of this?
I love the credit interview, and did I freeze? What happened?
Yeah, that's okay.
But we can hear you okay. Oh, well,
Oh.
I said that, and then I think she's gone.
Okay, she's gone. Jennifer, what'd you get out of today?
I got a lot out of it because we're primarily highline, and we don't play a lot in subprime or even. I mean, we've got mainline as well, but we're really looking to kind of take control of that market. We just had our 1-year anniversary on our used car lot, so there's a lot of awesome materials that I can't wait to roll out to the team.
And by the way, alphadogondemand.com or zieglerondemand.com, you can purchase the F&I manual there, the new F&I Mastermind. I just rewrote it. You can go to zieglerondemand.com, and that's going to be my free training platform. It's going to have all the sales manager training, F&I training, BDC training, salesperson training, and dealer sessions. So anyway, guys, next week we're going to get into how to deliver a car. We're going to get into how to contract a deal. So, and then the 5th week, I think I'm going to do credit unions, how to deal with credit unions when credit unions are giving you a fit, how to do that. So anyway, let's reconvene next week. Everybody have a great week, okay?
Thanks,